Welcome back to the podcast with Schmo and Shades, the podcast, season 1, the Renaissance podcast, pilot, redeployment review, part 1, and Shades' college decision and reaction. Click, and you're dead. As you guys probably know already, podcast is about getting real with us. You know, you came here for real.
No doubt.
You can't, yep, exactly. You came here for real, and you're going to get it. You know, thank you for clicking on episode 1. You know, me and you guys don't know how appreciative we are of you guys
We were
listening.
really appreciative that you just clicked on our video.
And
even after it says that you're going to die, but that just shows how how much you guys want to listen to us.
And I mean, you're gonna get real, guys. This is what this podcast is about. This is what it's about. You know.
Well, let's tell them. Let's tell them, Schmel. Like, why are we creating this podcast? Like, well, the answer's simple.
I mean,
we want to get real with y'all and like really look at all the facts.
I mean, we want to build a community here with real people. You know, and
Schmo and I feel like we're really knowledgeable about what's going on
no doubt
around us. Like, it's not all about social media. It's not all about Instagram. It's not all about Snapchat.
Clicks,
Facebook, clicks,
likes.
Oh, we said it at the same time.
Jinx.
You're old school, aren't you?
I mean,
well, going on my point. I mean, it's not all about Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, or anything in that realm.
I mean, we truly think we're Renaissance men, like those Italian dudes from the Renaissance in the 1400s.
Yeah, I got you.
Or whatever.
I got you.
You know, like we are them. We literally are them. Like Da Vinci. Bro,
oh no!
Don't even get me started.
Not that crap. Well, we're more like Durer, bro.
Nobody even knows who that is.
It's better than Da Vinci. Da Vinci's like honestly most overrated Renaissance guy of all time. You okay?
No.
You okay?
No, bro. No, bro. Have you even seen the Vitruvian Man?
The what?
Vitruvian Man. You can't.
Have you seen Durer's Adam and Eve?
That's literally trash. I hate that. I hate that painting.
Oh, you hate that? Well, I hate the Peruvian Man.
That's not this podcast, man. I'm gonna start. I'll start this whole thing over.
You gotta chill out, bro. It's all right. What did I even do?
Bro, don't even compare.
All right,
That's the dirt right now, bro.
All right. Well,
that's not this podcast.
Okay, we'll cut this out. All right.
All right. Cut this out. Anyways, we don't just specialize in one topic like most podcasts, but we're trying to discuss a lot of topics that are, relevant in our lives.
If you're looking for a podcast that talks about books, like history, TV shows, music, lifestyle, how to lead a healthy lifestyle, politics.
We talk a lot about that.
We don't actually, but if you want to, you know where to find us.
Yeah.
Once again, this is just as much our podcast as it is your podcast. Schmo's gonna put the email in the description for you guys to hit us up with possible topics we can cover and questions you want answered. We're gonna look at that
Guys.
email and
This is your podcast, guys. We want topics. We want real. Get real with us, guys.
exactly.
Talk with us. You know where to find us.
With that, let's get into our first topic of all time for this podcast. We have read All Redeployment by Phil Clyde. Clyde was a soldier himself in the war in Iraq. He was now an American writer. He was born in 1983. He won the National Book Award for Fiction in 2014 for his first book-length publication, a collection of short stories called Redeployment. In case you didn't know, Redeployment is a collection of short war stories that pertains to the Iraqi war between the Middle East and the U.S. We were really hoping we could get Clyde on, but he's been a little busy, if you know what we mean. Maybe, for part 2, we can get him on. We're going to go through each of the first 6 stories and really describe how meaningful they are to us.
Shades does stories 1, 3, 5 with backstory.
Schmo does quotes from 2, 4, 6 with backstory. So the first story that we read was Redeployment, and that's odd, right? Like the first war story is called Redeployment, which is the same title as the overall book called Redeployment.
Huh. I guess so. I guess so. Yeah.
Why is that? Phone's ringing. We knew this was going to happen. It's all right.
Pardon me, but this is all about getting real on this podcast. You know,
I mean,
that's
there's
what this
real
podcast
things.
is about. You know,
Exactly.
About the title of the first short story. Honestly, it was a bit of a try hard move. If I'm going to be honest with you, Shades.
I don't know about that, but I kind of compare it to like when singers and bands have like a song that's the same title as the song of their album. That has the same title as their album cover. Like, I do agree Clyde's a tryhard. Like we know that, but
yeah,
I also think he's a really good writer too. Don't get me wrong.
That's true. He's good.
Don't
he's
twist
good. Don't twist his words, guys, in the comments.
it.
All right.
No doubt. But I can even let me look for some examples. I know two on the top of my head, like Migos, the hip hop group. Their album covers named Culture, and like the first song in their album is called Culture. Maybe Clyde was trying to do something like this, where he's trying to let us know, like.
So you're saying he was basically inspired by Migos?
No, he could be inspired by Migos, but because Migos came out in like 2017, I think. Their like Culture came out in 2017, and if I remember correctly, this book was written in 2014. Maybe he was inspired by let me think. What's so funny? But Who Are You? Oh wait, Who Are You by The Who, right? That's an album, and
yes,
a song in their album.
Who are you?
Who are you? And it goes like, Who are
you? Who are you? Who?
That song. That's literally all they sing the whole time.
Bit overrated, if you ask me, but no, that's just my.
Don't tell my dad that. Don't tell my dad that.
I won't. You have any more examples?
Let me try to look for some.
What are you doing?
I'm looking up songs that have the same title as their album cover.
You don't have
more examples?
Not right now. I'm looking for a couple.
You
okay,
don't have
bro?
this stuff prepared. I mean, this is like
I mean, it's a podcast.
you brought it up. You brought it up.
Here to talk. Well,
You brought
maybe
it up.
you
Why
should.
don't you have
Maybe
more
you should have an
examples?
example on the top of your head. Maybe I shouldn't be doing all
Listen,
the work.
I've given my all for this podcast.
Yes, you're all. Give me your all, every ounce. But you're not all good yourself, bro. Like, remember that one time when we were taking like the Scantron test, and you literally got so twisted and told me I had the wrong pencil. But instead,
You did.
I did have a number 2 pencil. I
You
did.
can't. No. You
Telling
can't. No.
And you're like,
it doesn't matter if it's number 2 lead.
You
can't use a mechanical pencil on the Scantron.
You literally told me that day, like, Shades, any wooden pencil would suffice. I'm like, a number 2 mechanical pencil is better than a wooden pencil.
Exactly the point. That's exactly the point. You can't use a mechanical pencil. What do I need to spell it out for you?
That's not what the exam said. I got a 0 while you got a 5 on the exam. I think you intentionally sabotaged it that one day.
Oh, we're gonna go there? We're gonna go there?
Oh, I just still have another out. I just still have another song that's the same title as our album cover.
Convenient.
You're saying, all right, I'm not even doing this right now, but I'm telling the audience that AC/DC Back in Black.
I hate that album.
They also have it out, a song in their album titled Back in Black. Back in Black. Perhaps why God's inspiration from that?
From AC/DC? You know,
Yeah.
all right. You know, we'll just meet in the middle here. We'll say maybe he got inspiration from albums in general.
Okay. You think that's all there is to it?
I mean, I'm just trying to meet in the middle here.
I'm just trying to think. Maybe this is maybe Clyde's telling us this story's the most important story of the whole book. Maybe this is.
I think what he's doing is I think he decided, well, albums do it this way, and maybe I'm going to do the same thing.
Just maybe. All right, I'm glad we settled that. But
yeah.
So the overall story of Redeployment, I mean, I don't want to get too into it. That's okay with you, Schmo?
Yeah, I think it's a bit too deep for this podcast, and we suggest maybe I don't know how to put this lightly. Just read it yourself.
I think you'll put a link to the collection of short stories of Redeployment by the author Phil Cly,
an American writer, born in 1983.
Yes.
He won
He is an American writer born in 1983. Yeah.
National Book Award in 2014.
Oh, yeah, that's
for his first book-length publication.
It's 38 years old.
Stories.
Yeah, that's all we have to say about Redeployment. I mean, we're not going to get too deep into it. Let's move on to the next short story.
Let's move on. So the next story is Frago. Frago's a deep story that we don't really want to get into in this podcast, but
no doubt.
I'll give you a quote that really stood out to us. All right. But, well, before we get started, I just wanted to give my opinion on the present tense and the use of the first-person narrator in this piece.
Why do you think it's so important? I mean,
well, I think that part just stood out to me.
Oh.
And the title as well.
Frago.
In case you guys didn't know, Frago. Well, I don't know how much you guys have with experience of military acronyms, but there isn't really a direct translation for this title, but
Wait. Can I tell him what it stands for?
go ahead. I
Let
don't
me-
think there's really a
Let me
a
just
good
guess. Let me
translation.
guess.
Yeah, give your best guess, Shades.
So Frago, it sounds like to me it's fragmentary
Fra-
order.
Or yeah, it's sort of like a change in daily order of operations. Yeah. Well,
Wow.
anyways, it's about a fire team raid on a house. Stuff gets real. That's what this podcast is about. I'll get us started with the quote.
Why do you think the first person narrator is so significant for this?
I told you I thought it was significant. Okay, that's enough. That's enough.
Why is it significant?
That's enough.
I
I'm
mean, maybe
starting.
do we
I'm
get
starting. That's enough.
all right? All I'm saying is, do we get the narrator?
Quote, I put third fire team in reserve, as usual. The Malrosios. And he's dumber than Fabio on 2 bottles of NyQuil. Third's had an easy deployment so far, but I don't think he'd give his team anything too complicated. Sometimes it helps to be led by an idiot. When we get to the house, the other squad set a cordon. We tear down the road, bust in the back door. M870, the lockbuster shells. Boom, and we go. Back door leads to the kitchen. Right, clear. Left, clear. Overhead, clear. Rear, clear. Kitchen, clear. We roll through. Don't stack, just roll.
What does that mean?
I'm just going to continue. All right. Don't interrupt me like that again. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Kerbal Street's fire team clears the house like running down the street. Water running down the street.
Is that your phone again?
You got to bring that up. You got to bring that up. Listen. I mean, let's just get back into it. I mean, I don't even know where to start with that quote. There's just a lot to unpack.
Well, look, let's do it. You want to try and unpack it?
Let's give it a try. We'll try.
All right. So I put third team in reserve. So I think that's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Dumber than Fabio on 2 bottles at night. All right. That
It's
has to be the funniest line in the book.
Yeah. Yes. Strategic use of simile as well.
You know where Fabio comes from? Here we go.
No. What are you doing?
Trying to look up where, I feel like he was in a cartoon or something.
Fabio? Is it Fabio? Oh,
Fabio.
yeah.
Fabio.
Fabio Lanzoni, you mean?
Are you sure that's where it comes
Yes,
from?
he's known mononymously as Fabio. He's an Italian-American actor, fashion model, and spokesman. Noted for a wide-ranging career, including appearances as a spokesman for I Can't Believe It's Not, ... Wikipedia.
Are they talking about that Fabio or another Fabio?
It's got to be him.
All right, well, let's move on.
Sometimes it helps to be led by an idiot. What do you think?
Well, I think what what the narrator is trying to say there is like a leader who isn't always aware of his surroundings is actually better because he relaxes the group, he relaxes the platoon. It's just like the saying how
yeah,
baseball players are stupid, because they just let the
Say that
game come
again.
to them.
Say that again.
Yeah, baseball players are stupid. The game comes to them. Just like in this, maybe this like sergeant or general or whoever it is, maybe just war in general comes easy to him. And when his soldiers see that, they feel more relaxed and ready to go rather than tense and
Stiff.
Yes, that's a great word for it.
In other words, sometimes it helps to be led by an idiot.
Well, yes, exactly. That's from the quote.
Oh, I guess so. I guess that's maybe how he thought about it.
All right, let's move on. Let's not waste our viewers' time. Okay.
You're right. You're right. When we get to the house, the other squad set a cordon.
What's that?
Look it up.
Literally what I'm doing.
Guys, when you don't know a word, don't be afraid. Google's your friend. Google's your friend, guys.
So I found Cordon here on Google. You want me to read the definition?
Well, let me get a thought.
There's
Is
two
it like
definitions.
cordon bleu?
No. Let me see. There's one's a noun, one's a verb. I'll read the noun first. The
All right.
noun is as follows: a line or circle of police, soldiers or guards preventing access to or from an area or building. You want me to read the verb?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. You positive?
Yeah. Give me the verb.
Prevent access to or form an area or building by surrounding it with police or other guards. So it means close off, or it can actually mean a barrier. And I think the way Cly uses it here is it's a barrier. It's used as a noun.
Is there any other definitions or?
No, I think this is the perfect definition for it. When we get to the house,
honestly, I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, Shades. I don't think
why
I just don't think that's what he meant. I mean, I'm trying to put myself in Clay's shoes here. I don't think that's the essence of cordon. When I'm thinking of cordon, that's not it. That's not it. That's not what cordon is.
Literally reread the sentence. When we get to the house, other squads.
I'm not rereading the sentence. I read this sentence enough. I'm not trying to waste
the sentence. You'll figure it out.
I'm not trying to waste our listeners' time here.
No. When we get to the house, the other squad set a cordon.
You always think you're right.
The other squad set a cordon or barrier. It's literally cordon means barrier, guys. Don't let them twist it. All right.
I respectfully disagree.
They burst through the back door.
Debatable.
And they infiltrate the building or whatever.
Boom, and we go.
Yep, exactly.
Back door leads to the kitchen. Right clear, left clear, overhead clear, so on and so forth. So on and so forth. Clear. What does it mean to clear something when you're clear? What does clear mean? What does it mean to clear something?
You move past it. You like move past the cordon.
Bringing cordon back.
Well, we kind of left that.
All right, I'm just gonna move on. We'll cut that out. We'll cut that out. Clear. To clear something, typically, sort of like if you clear something off a table, does that mean you're adding stuff to the table?
Are you serious right now? Like, no, you don't add stuff to the table.
Listen, I'm trying to just
clear it.
I'm trying to wash this out here.
You remove stuff from the table.
Bring out the laundry.
You did not know that. All right, can we just move on? I think.
Right. Roll through. We roll through. Don't stack. Just roll.
All right, we roll.
If you roll through something, I imagine sort of, when you do those somersaults. Have you done a somersault before?
No. What I imagine is like the stop, drop, and roll. I imagine that's what.
Like
fire procedure.
Like if there's a fire.
Yeah, like they're actually rolling on the floor, but I think what they're doing is they're just trying to consistently move, so they're not targeted by the enemy.
The way I thought about it is, if they, I took a more of a literal interpretation of this. I thought they rolled through the hallways, rather than sort of just stacking, sort of like a human ladder situation where they're stacking on top of each other. So I mean that would be a bit impractical, wouldn't you say?
That might be, but I just think it means that they go through the building and they try not to be in a group. They try to be independent from one another. So
Yeah,
if one
yeah.
person gets shot at,
Right.
the
Yeah.
whole group doesn't get shot at if they're together. You follow me?
Yeah,
Slow
sort of.
is smooth, smooth is fast. I think they want to walk at
Smooth as
at brisk
fast.
pace.
They want to keep a good pace so that they don't get caught.
Well, that and also so they don't get shot at or whatever else. I mean, slow is smooth, smooth is
They want to
fast.
be like water running down a stream, smooth.
Honestly, I think that's a perfect interpretation of it.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought about that myself. Well, I think that's all for Frago. Let's move on to our next story.
So after Action Report, to be honest, guys, this is another deep story that we really don't want to get into, right?
No doubt.
Right, Shmo?
No doubt. If you guys want to know about the story, read it yourself. I don't know why you guys are listening to the podcast to get information about redeployment. I mean, it's out
You
there,
can literally
guys.
just get the book. Like, just get the book, read it,
Read the book.
aggressively annotate if you really want.
Aggressively annotate it. I personally use a mechanical pencil, and I'll use I'll use a mechanical pencil,
I use
and
a pen.
I'll write in the margins of the.
I use a pen.
But then you can't erase it.
Care.
All right, I'm not even going to entertain that.
Are you another person who uses a highlighter too? Highlighters are horrible, guys. They're horrible.
Yeah. All right.
Because like
no,
within a second,
no, they're not. They're not
everything.
horrible. I got two things for you. They're not horrible, and people who don't use them are horrible. Gonna debate that with me?
No.
That's right.
All right.
I didn't think so.
You won that one.
If you want to get more information about redeployment, check out the link below and maybe consider buying the book. Furthermore, there are a couple of symbols that really stood out to us in After Action Report.
Those two symbols, like, they're both video games, and the characters in the story, they really use these video games to zone out and forget about their hardships, right?
Yeah. The two video games in particular were Pokemon and Grand Theft Auto. Are you familiar with Pokemon, Shades?
Yes.
What's your favorite Pokemon?
None of your business, bro. None of your business.
You're probably a Charizard. Dude.
How do you know?
Dude,
What's your favorite?
Bulbasaur, it's obvious.
Really? 1v1 them, bro. Like
a Smash battle, both of them in a Smash battle. Think about it. The
Charizard will
vines,
just light Bulbasaur up with fire.
Charizard, stupid tail. He's got a little
You
flame
think he's
on
too
his tail.
slow?
I think. Well, I mean that's a part of it. He honestly, I just hate his whole the whole character. It's really just a disgusting lizard.
Very
it's like
generic.
It's generic. It's basic. It's
literally a Bowser in a Pokemon world. Just light people up with fire.
Exactly.
But
I was going to say that exactly.
Charizard is so much more powerful than Bulbasaur. It's not even close. and they had the same exact recovery. Like,
I, I mean, I kind of want to fact check you on that.
sure, Bulbasaur uses vines and thinks he's God, but like,
Because he
Charizard's
is.
better.
Because he is.
Well, what Smash are we talking about? They're all different.
Pokemon Go. What do you think of Pokemon Go?
You're not going to answer my question.
Pokemon Go. Remember a few years ago, there was a
Summer of
resurgence.
2016.
A resurgence of
Summer of 2016.
there was a resurgence of the Pokemon ethos of sorts.
Oh, do you mean isn't that Plato's triangle? Ethos,
Kind of.
pathos, and
Kind of. You're in the right direction.
Oh.
Pokemon Go. Have you ever played Pokemon Go? Or here, let's go a little bit more general. Have you ever played a video game?
Yes and no.
Expand on that.
Have I played a video game? Yes, I have. There's no doubt about it. But
what about no?
I
Why
haven't
why
played
did you
like
feel the
I
need?
didn't play it like these main characters did. I didn't lock myself
Ah,
in a room for like 3 hours
yes.
plus in
Yes.
dark lights just grinding video games because to be honest, I think there's more life like that. There's more to life than just video games.
The characters in the stories, a few of them would disagree with you. I'm to be honest.
Care.
GTA. That was
All right,
another one of
I
the.
guess we're moving on.
That was another one of the
You want to talk
stories.
about Pokemon Go some more?
Oh, Pokemon Go.
Did you ever play it?
Yes. In fact, I have. I have played Pokemon Go.
Do you still play it?
It's kind of a personal question.
It's really not a personal question. It's did you play Pokemon Go? Yes or no?
It had a resurgence. The Pokemon ethos, and people were outside, looking at their phones. They were almost pretending like they were the Pokemon trainers.
Oh yes, I think I do remember that back in the summer of 2016, right?
Yes, a few years back.
It's not a few
They
anymore. It's more like 5
they
years ago
had
now.
and they were playing some type of game on their phones, and I would pass by people, and they were flicking with their finger. They would be angry. They would be sad, mad. Did you have any experience with this?
I mean, have I ever had experience with it? Yes, I wasn't really a big Pokemon Go guy, but I remember summer camp that year when we were all on the bus.
Tell me about it.
Everyone had their
You be
phones
real
out.
with me, bro.
Everyone had their phones out or flicking their fingers. I'm like, yeah, what game you're playing? And
Yep.
the kid still know him today. Don't want to name any names.
Don't do it. Don't do it. We'll try and keep that out.
I know. I know. Even though I really want to say it, he's like,
I know.
the kid, I'm not gonna name him. He's like, how do you not know what we're playing, bro? Like, do you live under a rock? And then I realized he was talking about Pokemon Go, and I was angry at him at that moment for like acting like I was an idiot.
He literally said you lived under a rock.
Yeah, but I kind of felt for him because he got 3 straight Pidgeys. Remember that?
Pidgeys.
Yeah, they're like, bro. When you thought you got something good, a Pidgey just came out of the Pokemon. It was literally a nothing character. It was literally a nothing character.
It's a nothing character, but I mean,
yeah, absolutely nothing.
Let me take a moment just to digress, if you give me that.
All right, not too long, but
yes.
Go ahead.
Let's take a look into the economics of Pidgeys. Supply and demand. it seems, I don't know if you have experience with this, but Pidgeys, there seems to be especially in the beginning of the game, there seemed to be a high supply, but a very little demand. And I think because of that scarcity,
I think that's a really good point. Keep
yeah,
going.
there might have been a lack of value to the Pidgey character that really made people, oh, it made them angry. It made them angry at the Pidgey when they would get a Pidgey. So like,
No doubt. I mean, that kid that one time he was angry at me, but I thought he was taking it personal that I didn't know what game he was playing and what game everyone was playing.
yeah,
But I'm sure he was just mad at the fact that the game creators kept on playing Pidgeys.
yeah, it's
unfair.
it was unfair, and it's honestly, I'd argue it was a crime, a federal crime.
Yeah, you can't deny that. I mean, kids used to get well, all people who like it used to get really
Yeah.
angry that they would pull a Pidgey, and well, that kind of leads into our next topic, whether in GTA, like whether like Pokemon Go was like childish. Do you think
Yeah.
it was childish?
Well,
Because GTA was childish as well.
I'd even argue GTA itself, it's a childish game, and frankly, it's inappropriate.
Really immature. Like it
I've
says it's for mature
I'm gonna be
audiences.
honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you, Shades. I've never actually played it, and I never will. I never will. I'll never play that
For
game.
once on this podcast, we actually agree.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm not
exciting.
joking.
That's a historic moment right there.
Say that again.
That's a historic moment right there.
All right, you don't actually have to say it again. It's like a saying.
Anyways,
You really didn't have to say it again.
Speaking of GTA, how do you think video games influence the younger generation?
Well,
Do you think
it depends on the video game.
Okay.
I mean,
what do you mean by that?
I played sports video games all my life, like basketball, like football, the Madden games. Yeah.
EA Sports. Get in the game.
Well, that is one of the many electronic arts games, yes. And
yes.
NBA 2K, MLB 2K, The Show, all of those games, I don't think
WrestleMania.
I don't think they're bad. Well, yeah, I think they're good. I think they're good for the younger generation to get connected to sports.
It gives them a sense of pietas almost.
Yeah, duty. Yeah, it gives them a sense
duty,
of duty to really
a sense of duty to go forth
and really conquer like the sport they're playing. Really work hard.
Yes, work hard to be the character they are in the virtual world and bring it into the real world.
Yeah, couldn't say any better. But I do want to get into the violent video games. I mean, it can't be good for an 11-year-old kid just playing
GTA,
Call of Duty, GTA,
even Pokemon Go,
even Fortnite for that matter, for like 10 hours a day. Don't get me.
Definitely.
I don't want to talk about Fortnite. I really don't.
Oh, that's one thing we're not talking about on this podcast. The podcast, it's not Fortnite.
If you guys want to talk about them, hit us up in the comment section or email us. But we really don't plan on talking about that because that just gets us too angry.
Yeah, maybe we'll save that for a Q&A.
I think some video games are good for the most part, but I think you have to
what about Mario?
I think you have to play video games in moderation. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you have to have a balance.
Exactly.
A balance.
Well, I think some Mario games are good, but at the same time, on the flip side, some are bad. Like,
Mm. Mm.
I think when Mario jumps on enemies, I mean, it's all cute and all when you're playing it, but if kids play it too much, then
They're going to start acting it out in the real world.
I think you hit it right on the nail. Like one time
Hit the
when
nail on the head, right? On the
nail on
head
the
nail. Yep.
yep, sure, okay, yeah, you're the
Did-
hammer, I'm the nail. But I remember one time when I was in second grade, like it was recess and there's this kid who's really into Mario. He had like the Super Mario Galaxy 2 backpack and everything.
Mm. Mm.
I'm like, wow, this
That's
kid's into
risky.
Mario.
Risky business.
And I was just on the playground and I was on the ground just laying in the sun. Don't
As you
ask me
do.
why. Don't ask me why.
I
And
won't.
he just comes over and just jumps on me.
What?
Yes. Like you know how
He literally
Mario,
jumped on you?
that's literally what he said, but you know how Mario used to jump on the
Yeah, he would
Goombas and you would get a coin from
on the
it?
mushrooms, on those little mushroom guys.
Yeah, I mean that too. You would jump on them and you would usually get coins from that. I don't know what the kid
So
was thinking. I
he
mean,
almost thought, well, I, I'm going to enter into the shoes of that kid for a moment.
all right, go ahead, please.
Perhaps he thought you were a mushroom.
Huh. I mean, I was wearing a red shirt that day.
That would explain it.
And Mario, like, mushrooms are red. But I don't know. I just think because he played video games so much that triggered him to do that one day.
Maybe, maybe not. That's a debate.
Well, what do you think about video games? Do you think it's good for the younger generation? Tell me what your thoughts are.
Uh, no comment.
All right, then we'll
And
move on to the next
yeah,
story.
anyways, let's move on to the next story. So the next story was called OIF.
Operation Iraqi Freedom.
And to be honest with you guys, I don't know how you feel about the Shades, but I really don't know what any of the words in this short story mean. I mean,
Agreed.
half the page is filled with acronyms.
Yeah, I know. It's just like Cly just wrote this story just to show off his knowledge on military acronyms. I know.
I felt that way. I
It's
felt that way too.
ridiculous.
It's like he doesn't even have the decency to give us a glossary of what this means at the back of the book.
Yeah, it's crap. It's annoying. I mean, it is what it is.
Is
But
what it is.
I mean, you want to try to decipher what some of these words mean?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
All right. Let me flip through here.
EOD. What does EOD mean?
I'm trying to think. Perhaps it's like explosive ordnance disposal, otherwise known as like the bomb squad.
Okay. SSTP. What? Give me an example.
So I looked it up here and says surgical shock trauma platoon. Oh, so that's interesting. There's a specific platoon where when soldiers are in shock that they go and help them.
Okay. PRP.
Let me waste my time and look this up too. Because Clyde can't
give us a
like,
glossary.
I know.
even just a like a key on the top of the page or something of.
I know. You're preaching to the choir.
What does it all mean? What does it all mean? What is it?
I just found out what PRP means. It means personnel retrieval and processing. I Don't know what that means. Do you have any idea?
Definitions lead to definitions. That's what this whole chapter is, guys.
I know.
Honestly, guys, there's literally no way for anybody without military experience to read the story.
This specific story, not redeployment.
Yes,
story.
No doubt. Which is fine. We respect that from Clay, because it's just one single story. But for literature lovers like ourselves,
literature like hobbyist, I think hobbyist is.
I think we're more like literature lovers, because no. We admire What do you mean?
I mean, do you love all different types of literature?
Yeah, exactly.
Would you die to read literature? I mean,
live by literature, die by literature. That's the saying.
Well, I think literature, for us at least, we're hobbyists, literature hobbyists. We don't ride or die on what literature is,
Maybe you're a hobbyist. I mean, maybe I got the wrong impression from you when I decided to start the podcast.
Oh, we're going there now. Maybe
I didn't get the right impression. I thought I was working with a fellow literature lover, but I guess it's just a hobbyist.
Yes, I know myself enough to say that I'm not a literature lover. I'm a literature hobbyist, and don't BS me. I know that you're a hobbyist.
April 6th, 1642.
What are you talking about?
I'm gonna go there.
You weren't even around 1962.
1642.
1642? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but I mean, let's move on to the next story. All right.
Let's move on.
Okay.
So the next story was titled Bodies. And it's just like the title says. It's about bodies. Shades wanted to share a quote that really stood out to him. Go ahead, Shades.
Unbelievable. I could have said that myself, but it's all right. So this quote's on the.
I'm trying. Hold on. I'm trying to lead you into a segment here. I don't need back talk.
All right. We'll cut it out. It's all right. Quote on bottom of page 55. And
I'll cut it out.
56. Some people love small towns. Everybody knows everybody. There's a real community you don't get in other places. If you're like me, though, and you don't fit in, it's a prison. So our relationship was half boyfriend, girlfriend, half cellmates. For my 16th birthday, she blindfolded me and drove me 20 miles out of town. Well, there's a lot to unpack there.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right, well, want me to start this off?
Give it a shot.
All right, well, some people love small towns. It seems kind of self-explanatory.
Well, I think there's a little bit more to it. I don't think it all really comes naturally. Small towns. What really classifies a small town?
Town with less than 1,000 people.
I disagree. Maybe less than 750. I think that more classifies.
Well, I think it's on the environment. Like, what part of the country are you in? I mean, if you're in Wyoming, it's probably like 10 people. If you're in a populated city near Chicago, that might be less than 5,000 people.
You make a good argument. Can't argue there.
Isn't it like in Wyoming, there's like as many cows as there is like people?
I don't know.
All right, Mr. Knowledgeable, but
what is that supposed to mean?
Well, a small town. A small town here is, we really don't know how many people are in it. Clyde doesn't tell us.
I
But
think he leaves it up to the reader to really take
it's
that as they
our
will.
interpretation of it.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. Everybody knows everybody. There's a real community you don't get in other places. You
Yeah.
know what that sounds like, Schmel?
What? What?
You know, like, you know what that sounds like? There's a real tight community.
You don't get in other places.
Sounds like,
Everybody knows everybody.
yep, no
Sounds
matter,
like it's a close community.
yep, a brotherhood. Brotherhood
Almost,
per se, right?
yeah, almost like a brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
like a.
do you think your town is a close-knit community? I know my
Yeah,
opinion on your town.
I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. Personally, I'd say it's rather close.
Quite the contrary.
Oh, you
Your
disagree?
town's a big town. I mean, I think there's
Big,
many branches of it, and
as there is stumps. Are you going to make that argument?
I don't even know what that means. But what I'm saying is that your town's huge. I don't think that
Yeah, but
everyone
like
knows each
everybody,
other.
I'll go get a bagel. I say, hey, and then they're
Hey,
like,
Schmo,
they say, hey, what's going on, Shmo? And I'll tell
how's
them,
school? Right? Or
no, they don't ask that. Um,
all
they
right.
don't ask that. They say, how am I doing? How's my day? I'll ask them the same. Uh,
Seemed like a pretty like genuine question, but okay.
no, they don't ask that. No.
Okay, I
So
guess I get your point.
there's a real community in these small towns, and everybody seems to know everybody. Do you think it's on a name basis? Do
I
you
don't
think it
think it's on a name basis. I think it's like,
by
oh
face?
yeah, I know your mom. I know your mom that
Oh,
has a son, but I'm
mm-hmm.
there for you if you see me. If you need a ride here or there, don't kids don't get rides from strangers, but
Stranger danger.
I think these communities they feel safe, they feel comfortable. Like it's not like they're in a big city like the Mecca, New York City.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. The Big Apple.
Hmm. Well,
Yes.
let's read the next sentence, all right?
Go ahead.
If you're like me though, and you don't fit in, it's a
Ah,
prison. Wow. That's
dagger to the
deep.
heart right there.
I mean, the title bodies just shows this. I mean, this guy feels like he's a body because he feels like he just doesn't fit into his community.
Mm.
And it's a small town. You're supposed to fit into your community,
Everybody knows everybody.
but this guy doesn't.
And if he doesn't feel like that, it's like a prison.
Like,
Yeah.
do you feel that way in your community?
Personally, no.
Yeah, same here. So this guy feels like people are against him, and
The tide's not
he's
in his
not a
favor.
fan of this small town lifestyle.
It's it doesn't suit him, it seems like. It seems like he needs to go out of this small town and
Explore the world,
explore it.
conquer.
Carpe diem.
Exactly.
Carpe diem. Seize the day. Go out forth and conquer the world. So our relationship was half boyfriend slash girlfriend, half cellmates.
Ooh,
Woo-hoo.
wow. The cellmates is a callback to the previous sentence.
Yes,
Cellmates.
yes.
Do
Like
you really think they're actual cellmates? Do you think they're
yeah.
criminals?
I well, you could interpret it that way as if they are actually criminals under state law or
No,
federal law.
I don't
And
think it's like that at all. I think
but I
I
mean,
think his girlfriend is feels left out of the small town as well. They feel like an outsider.
They don't fit in.
Have you read The Outsiders? Great book, by the way.
Yeah. Maybe we'll save that for another podcast.
Tom Cruise was in the movie.
I wasn't a fan of that, but
Alright.
for my 16th birthday, she blindfolded me and drove me 20 miles out of town.
Ooh, for what? What do you think happened? They had dinner or something?
I think they were attempting to escape the small town lifestyle, perhaps.
What I get from this sense is that they're adventurers. They like to explore. They're not interested in just
Hanging
being,
around their small town.
yeah, they don't like the 9 to 5 lifestyle of a normal employee.
Mm-hmm.
Want to go outside of that, explore,
They want to
go into the wild.
Something unorthodox. They want something that will make them feel as though they're against the herd of sheep that are going into these particular small towns and henceforth.
Okay. So that's bodies. I mean,
That's pretty
anything
much
else
it.
you want to say about the story?
I think it's a little deep, and I think it would be probably best for you to read it on your own time.
I second that thought. I think Clyde did a really good job setting the stage of the story. But we don't want to talk about the story anymore, right?
Yes. No
All right, we'll
doubt.
move on.
All right.
So, Schmo, we just finished reading, summarizing, and analyzing the first
Annotating
5
as well.
war stories. Clap it out for yourself.
Well, after experiencing these first 5 stories, what would you say to our listeners, to one word to sort of summarize everything that was in these first 5 stories? What would
3?
3?
Yep.
All right, I'll give you 3. Creative freedom. Go ahead.
Pain, sorrow, silence. In other words, I think we can say that these 5 stories are, to say the least,
Deep.
Yep, you stole the word.
Stole it right over your mouth. Oh, we were at the same wavelength.
I know, same wavelength. What's your amplitude?
Well, anyways, after analyzing these first 6 stories, something I really noticed, there was sort of a common theme of there was sort of a essence of a war story. What is a war story? So something I noticed is there isn't really any particular theme of what's going on. It's a little vague.
I mean, yeah,
What's that?
There's a feeling
what's
of
that in the background? What's that? Is that a phone ringing?
No, but
I forget it. We'll cut that out.
All right, good. Thanks. Well, thank you. Well, I really think that there's a feeling of helplessness emptiness after reading these stories. Like, you ask yourself the question, was there anything else he or she could have done? And the answer is usually no.
I'd even say I don't know would be the answer.
Yeah.
Well, although there isn't a theme, wouldn't you say that's sort of that's the point? That's the point of a true war story?
Oh, are you talking about? I know where you got this from. This is from Tim O'Brien's.
You know it?
How to Tell a True War
essayist.
Story. Yeah, he goes into the story about saying how the only way to tell a true war story is the feeling of emptiness and like how there's not actually a theme to it.
That's exactly it. You hit the head on the nail there.
Yeah, I mean,
And
is there anything else you really want to say about these first 5 stories?
well, I sort of thought to myself when I was reading these, I don't know if you're going to do this. I would probably advise it to our listeners. Um, Maybe consider reading some of Tim O'Brien's work and going back and analyzing
Reading both Phil Cly and Tim O'Brien,
and sort of analyzing with the points made by Tim O'Brien.
how do they impact the stories in Redeployment? Like,
Exactly.
is there one story in particular where there is no theme to the story?
Something to consider.
Well, let me ask you, Shmao, do you think Phil Cly read Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried and How to Tell a True
I
War Story before
I
he
think
wrote
so. I think
Redeployment?
I I'd probably say so. I'd probably say in fact, he might have used it as a guide when writing it. I mean, that's sort of the what
I'm
I
really
took
glad
away.
that we talked this out. I mean, that's a big realization.
I don't know. That's what I took out after going back, analyzing it, aggressively annotating. I think I
I
think
think
that's sort of
we can draw that
yeah. We could.
conclusion.
How about you guys do the same? That's a challenge we could set out to our listeners for this podcast.
Yeah. And
Go out, read both of them, and
send
maybe
us emails of your
send
responses.
us an emails. Put it in the comments. We'd love to hear it for part 2.
Yep.
And
I'm
maybe
gonna try to get in
even
touch with Tim O'Brien. Maybe get Tim O'Brien and Fly on at the same
hey,
time.
if we get the both on, we'll give it a shot. But
Exactly.
if you guys maybe even consider going out and doing a thorough analysis like we did here. And and that's pretty much it.
Yes.
All right. To end the show, I thought we'd do say a few words. We got an update. Somebody, my co-host here, he's been working really hard,
Guilty as charged.
and he has a few words to say. A few words to say about his application process and working through the college decisions.
Well, let me just say, it was
Go
very,
ahead.
very rigorous,
You
but
could say that again. You could even say,
it was emotional. I, Plato's triangle. I experienced all 3 of those.
Ethos,
Uh,
pathos, logos.
yep.
I mean, we
I'm
could
gonna
go
break
into
down. I'm gonna break down. I'm done
guys. We
about
could do a
one.
whole podcast about Plato's triangle. If you guys want to hear about that, leave it in the comments below, and we'll consider it. We'll consider it. This is just
So
as much as your podcast as it is ours, as we say.
yeah, no doubt, guys. Listen to
About the college process. Do you think it made you to go with the theme of the podcast? Do you think it made you more real?
Whew. Did it make me like more of a real man? Is that
Yes,
what you're
yes,
asking?
yes.
Well, we have to ask ourselves the question: what is a real man? Well, I think there's 2 definitions on what a real man is. One the
Okay.
Western Hemisphere, and one the Eastern Hemisphere.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And don't you think that in the Eastern Hemisphere they have a more outdated approach on what a man is?
Well, it depends what you mean by outdated. Outdated. Could
I
you
think
could
there's more of an alpha male in the Eastern Hemisphere,
hmm,
like it's still alive and well.
I see. So
They want.
And about the West, what do you think? Is there a particular trend? A particular trend that you believe the man and in the Western Hemisphere, is there a particular trend that you're noticing?
Yeah, I think that men are more understanding of their psychological backgrounds, you know? I think,
Hmm, that's that's interesting. I hate to quote the literature here, but I don't want to point it out. But are you perhaps getting this idea? It was sort of fleshed out in Lee Harris, the author,
of
in the
last man
suicide.
standing.
No, the suicide of reason, radical Islam's threat to the Enlightenment. Is this perhaps you
No,
familiar?
but I think that in the Western Hemisphere, men are understanding that,
Not gonna answer the question. That's all right.
wow, men are men understand that society from 1,000 years ago was, to be frank, really stupid. Like the
All right.
loyalties that drove men to desperate acts of courage and like sacrifice were just silly prejudices, don't you think?
That sounds sort of like the thought of what the last man would be thinking. The last man in Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra.
Oh, you know that too.
Yes, he talked about the last man, and it's eerily similar. The the thoughts that you're bringing up here. It seems
Are you trying
like
to
men
accuse me
with
of something?
yes, it seems like men with modern educations were content to sit at home
Set
congratulating
home, right?
themselves.
Well,
Yes, on their broad-mindedness, and I
I
think
think these are the
and the
better
lack of
men of
fanaticism, and
society.
I think that's perhaps what you're saying here. I think you're perhaps another stepping stone towards the last man. I'm gonna make that argument.
Yes, I think
You
being a real man is about being educated rather than running on emotion and aggression. I think it's as simple as that.
I mean, in the West, we're perilously getting down to our last man.
Yep. The alpha males in society are all gone, I would say, right?
Well, I mean, in the East, I make the argument, as Lee Harris does in the work "The Suicide of Reason: Radical Islam's Threat to the Enlightenment," published by Basic Books in 2007.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
You prepared, didn't
for
you?
the
You prepared for this
I
argument, didn't you?
guilty as charged.
Don't use my line.
The East has. I would even argue that the alpha male is still alive in the East, and in fact, thriving, thriving, and they're almost doing everything in their power to encourage the alpha boys to be tough, aggressive, ruthless.
Well, I think they're idiots, and that's why we go to universities
No, I
to
mean,
really educate ourselves on the silly prejudices of the past.
you're attempting to rid your society of high testosterone males, as alpha males, perhaps.
Yeah. Do you think that's a bad thing?
You think it would bring peace and quiet?
I think I can help, but
We'll leave it on that. All right, Shades, you've been holding off this whole podcast. Our listeners
yep,
have been waiting. It was in the title.
yep.
Shades college decision. Here it comes.
I will be attending Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute.
Oh yeah! Woohoo!
Thanks for the
That's my
encouragement.
that's my co-host right there. Shades.
Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you.
I get into the big leagues.
Oh, I'm gonna hit a home run now. Hit the got to the
Alright.
big leagues.
All right. Well,
That's uh,
I guess that leaves us.
that's all it was. Wow.
All right.
We're
That
kind
leaves
of
us
deflated
to
right now.
end. Well, all right, guys.
I think that's the podcast, right?
I think that's the podcast, episode 1. Thank you
Thank you
guys
for your support.
Thank you guys for the support. Leave comments. Thanks for listening. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from you.
Do anything in your power to get in touch with us. Anything.
Anything, guys. You guys know where to find us. Speaking of getting real, actually, on the next episode, we're going to be talking about something near and dear to both of us.
We're gonna be talking about reality TV.
Yeah.
And you guys might be surprised that we're switching topics like this, but let me tell you, we're not scared.
We're not afraid to switch topics.
We're not this cookie cutter podcast. We're gonna switch topics from point A to point E to point Z.
Really?
We don't care.
That's what we're gonna do.
We're not afraid to switch topics. All right.
Why? Because in reality, people are not afraid to switch topics, and that's what we're gonna do on this.
That's literally what I just said, but we're not this cookie cutter podcast, guys. If you guys don't like us, then we don't like you back. We want your full support. Right. All right.
Guys, give us what you want to hear, and we're gonna do exactly that. All right.
All right.
Listen up.
I think that's the podcast.
I think that's it.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening. Ciao.
Deuces.